Hey, welcome to another episode of the Sales Hunter Podcast. On today's episode, we've got Bill Cates, the Referral Coach. And well, hey, he's got so much to say. We got to get things rolling. So let's do the video and get Bill on stage.
You're listening to the Sales Hunter Podcast with Mark Hunter, where the focus is to help you as a sales leader sell with confidence and integrity. And now here's your host.
If you've ever wanted to know more about referrals, here's the man, Bill Cates. Hey, welcome, Bill. Thanks so much.
Hey, thanks, Mark. And just so your folks know, it's not Bill Gates. Missed it by one letter and a few billion brain cells.
I got the wrong guest. I have got the wrong guest.
Well, here's the deal. Bill Gates has a lot of money. I'm going to help folks make a lot of money by serving more people. How's that sound?
Well, hey, you know what? That means people should be paying attention to the show, right?
I hope so. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Hey, I'm going to be out in Seattle this next week, so I'll make sure to tell the other Bill about you.
Yeah.
Bill. So anyway,
yeah, right.
Hey, referrals. You are all things referrals, and if you're in the financial space, you probably have heard of Bill Cates because you probably have worked with him and you're benefiting from his systems. But let me tell you something. Your stuff works in every industry.
Oh, yeah.
Why do salespeople do such a bad job with referrals?
Yeah, well, they're afraid mostly, and the fears are real. I mean, I kind of get it. You don't want to look pushy. You know what? Here's what I hear. Bill, can you help me with this without making me look like the creepy referral guy? Or sometimes I hear cheesy referral guy, right? Or the over-aggressive life insurance agent. And I work with a lot of life insurance agents, and I tell them that the old methodologies that used to be taught have kind of polluted the waters for the rest of us. So we have to bring a new approach. But, you don't want to look pushy. You don't want to look needy. You don't want to look unsuccessful. And believe it or not, Mark, a lot of people are afraid to ask for referrals, introductions, because they fear rejection. Now, we know if they're afraid of rejection, they're in the wrong business, right?
I'm always confused by that one. Right. Yeah.
Well, it's funny. The whole thing about sales is here we are, people that typically, crave a little bit of approval. We crave winning, and yet we put ourselves in a profession where we get a chance to lose a lot. So there's something wrong with that picture. But here's what I know is that some people can cold call till the cows come home because they don't mind being rejected by people they don't know, or the fears show up in different ways for different people. But that's the bottom line. There's some mistaken assumption. There's some limiting belief that doing this is somehow going to make them look pushy, needy, or feel rejected. But the truth is, with the right perspective and the right methodology, they won't be at all. Are you there, Mark? Did we lose you? Do I need to just keep on going without Mark? Well, this is Bill Cates, not the sales hunter. Mark, the sales hunter, is missing. We don't know what's going on. So let me talk to you more about referrals then. Let's talk about your mindset. Let's talk about the mistaken assumptions and beliefs that do stop people. So first of all, you want to think in terms of the lifetime value of a client or a customer. Lifetime value is not just the business you can do with them over a lifetime, which can often be quite substantial depending on your business model. It's also who they can introduce you to over that lifetime. But if we don't have the right thinking, the right perspective, we'll miss those opportunities. We won't be curious, and we won't gather the intelligence, if you will, to see who else is in their world. So we might be able to get introduced to those folks. Do you give referrals? Do you provide referrals? So finish this phrase for me. As you give, you receive. We know that's true for all aspects of our life, including the referral part of things. Now, you don't have to give referrals to get referrals necessarily. You have to provide value. You have to become referable. With that said, playing the game of giving is an important thing to do. A lot of folks, a lot of salespeople, a lot of business owners are actually uncomfortable giving referrals, making connections. Just be aware that there's a disconnect there. If you're uncomfortable, if you feel uncomfortable in the giving side, then you're probably not going to be comfortable on the asking side as well. Oh, mindset. What else? One thing we need to think about is asking for help. Some people believe that asking for help is a sign of weakness. My wife, in fact, believes in that asking for, hey, Mark, you're back.
Yes,
I've been having a great conversation with the folks who are listening, though.
well, you are, because we had a kind of a major accident here. We spilled coffee, we spilled everything,
Oh
everything.
my.
But you know what? You are the consummate professional. You just keep things rolling. So
Well, I
thank you.
saw the sign that I'm still live, so I'm figuring, well, somebody
Yes, you
maybe is
are.
watching.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are. You and I have a common friend, Meredith Elliott Powell. I do a
We do.
podcast with her, and this has happened to us
Mm.
multiple times, and we just keep talking away. And so, hey, thank you, thank you.
I keep
But
talking away. Hopefully, people are listening away. And can I finish
Well,
the thought real quick?
yes, because
Yes.
because the whole time I've been able to hear you.
Okay, good.
So I know
Yeah.
what you're saying is good stuff.
Good. Well, the thought is that this idea of asking for help. So a lot of people believe that asking for help, is a sign of weakness. Like my wife believes that. I mean, I'll never forget the first time when we were kind of getting together and spending time together. She was working on some project. I said, can I help you with that? And she looks up at me and says, if I need your help, I'd ask for it. And I go, I didn't have to touch that hot stove anymore, to know. So, and what psychologists will tell you is the willingness to ask for help is actually a sign of high ego state, high ego strength. And in this case, we're actually asking for help to help others, right? It's about paying it forward. We have a client or a customer or even a prospect in some cases who appreciates our value. They like the questions we ask. They like the things we're teaching. They like where we're headed. And they often want to bring us and our conversation to other people. So we're asking for help to help others. So that's a few things of the mindset. There's a lot we could talk about, but that hopefully will help people get in the right frame of mind to be appropriately proactive with this.
Well, I tell you what, I love how you said that. Now, okay, we've got the right mindset. I know I need to do this. How do I ask? And you have a great philosophy as to when to ask. I want you to share both. How do we do it and when to ask us? I
Sure.
love your philosophy.
Now let's go to the when first. So the when is when value has been delivered and value has been recognized. So I kind of mentioned that already. How do we know value has been recognized? Well, first of all, we're hearing value recognizing statements from prospects and clients. You may even have a prospect that says, hey, thanks for setting this up. Thanks for hanging with me to get this appointment set. I've been wanting to address this for a while, right? Well, you've already provided value just by making sure the appointment got set. Now, you might not ask referrals based on that, but start to pay attention to all the different ways and places that people say thank you to you. And sometimes you'll have a prospect or client say, how can I help you? Well, that's a value recognizing statement. You ever get a hug from a client or customer? That's a value recognizing statement. So we pay attention to those. And then we also check in. We check in with our prospects and clients. We've covered a lot today. What stands out as the most important thing? Or, thanks for deciding to move forward with us. I know you're considering a lot of options. Can you tell me what tipped the scales for you? There's a lot of ways to get them to talk about the value. And when they put it into their own words, they get in touch with it. So they're feeling that, and then you learn from that, and now you're becoming referable. So that's a little bit around the timing. It could happen early in a relationship. It could happen a year into a relationship, but usually it happens sooner than you think. But,
well, I tell you what, audience, I want you to pay attention to what Bill just said, because so many times we think you can only ask for the referral after you've delivered the sale, after the contract's been signed. And you right there said up front, we could ask for referrals multiple times over the course of the relationship, as long as value is being received. It's huge.
It is. And you don't ask every time. I mean, again, you don't want to be aggressive. This is where the art comes in of kind of being able to tell if someone's open to this and willing to do it again. But yeah, depending on the type of sale that you're involved in, you may have a long sales cycle for what you do. And in that, you're still bringing value, right? You're doing a survey, you're doing evaluation, an assessment, you're making a few recommendations, and the sale hasn't been made yet. You're just working up to it. Well, guess what? A lot of value comes in that sort of process as well. So pay attention to that. And then the how. So the how is, we give it a name. It's called the VIPS process, VIPS. And think of the referrals, the introductions you get as the VIPs of your business. And that way you'll remember this. So the V is, guess what? A value discussion, a value check-in. Let's say it's a review meeting. Let's say you say, let's take a time out from the work we're doing and just talk a little bit about expectations and our communication. Any place where you haven't lived up to your expectations, and what is working. So we're always checking in. That's the first part. Then the I is treated with importance. Why? Because it's the work you do, hopefully you believe is important. It deserves to be treated with importance. And we all know that how you put things out to people kind of determines how it comes back, right? So you're not being obnoxious, but you're treating with importance. And I can give you a sense of what it sounds like in just a second. The P is permission to brainstorm. And so what we know is not everyone likes to provide referrals or make introductions. So we just can't plow ahead and assume. It's the assumptive methodologies here that sometimes can start to hurt things a little bit. So we soften it just a wee bit by making sure they're okay. And people say, well, Bill, aren't you giving them a chance to say no? Well, yes, I am giving them a chance to say no, because remember, this is a client, a customer, or a prospect you're courting. You don't want to blow the relationship by being too aggressive for referrals now when they might be fully willing to do it down the road. Right. So we soften up just a little bit. And then the S stands for suggest names and categories. And this is something I've been emphasizing a lot lately, which is coming to this conversation prepared. What I mean by this is the worst way to ask, Mark, is to say, who do you know we can help? Now, I suppose that's better than nothing, and lightning does strike from time to time. But really, we're going to be much more effective if I said to you, Mark, I'm glad you see the value in what we've been doing. I'm glad we got a happy client. And I'm always trying to bring this important work to other people. I was hoping we could put our heads together for a minute, see if we can, identify a few folks that you think should at least be aware of what I do. I have a couple ideas, actually, people you've mentioned last time we talked. Can I run it by you just to see what you think? Right. Already you're going to be curious. I mentioned somebody. Who did I mention? Right. Or I could say, there's a few categories of people, things that they're going through with their business that kind of triggers the work I do. And you're in one of those categories. Can I run it by you? And you'll go, well, what category am I in? So you can have a little fun with this. You can create curiosity with this. But that narrowing the focus and coming prepared is huge. And that will make create a much better result than just like, know anybody else we can help?
Oh, I love that approach, because you're really kind of planting the seed in the mind of the person, but you're doing it in a way that you've done your homework, and it really comes across very soft and very comfortable, because you actually elevate the person because you're making them feel good.
Yeah, you can even say in the value discussion, say, I'm glad you're seeing the value, and we love working with you. You're in that category we call an ideal client, or any way you want to stroke them a little bit. They like that too. Now, notice I alluded to in that I said, I'm always open to bringing this important work to other people. So sometimes earlier in the relationship, you can foreshadow this request by saying things like, hey, don't keep me a secret out there, or I'm never too busy to see if I can be a resource for other folks in your industry, or whatever the proper verbiage would be for you in the context. And so you plant the seed a little bit. Sometimes that turns into it, sometimes it doesn't, but they know it, it's in the air, if you will. And so this request, it's not a big surprise. They you see how they respond, and then you move accordingly.
I love how you set that up. Now, can you come back to a customer after you've done business with them, and you're shaking your head already, and ask them for referrals? How does that process look? I've got a strategy, but I'd be curious in yours.
Yeah, I mean, are you talking about someone I've already asked in the past, or?
Well, this is somebody who maybe you didn't. Again, this is being listened to by a ton of salespeople who probably have never done referrals. So they're saying, I got all these customers I've sold to over the last several years. Can I go back and ask them for a referral? How do I do that?
Yeah. So one of the key elements here, of course, is you have to be referable. So when and I mentioned this when you were cleaning up your coffee, I talked about the lifetime value of a client, of a customer. is not just the business you can do with them over a lifetime, it's who they can introduce you to. So whatever the nature of your business is, in most cases, you want to stay in touch with these people in some way, right? Whether it's monthly, quarterly, whatever it looks like, so that you're not a complete stranger after 2 years. If you are after a year or 2 years, then you got to work on that part a little first. But assuming you've stayed in touch, you provided a little value along the way, you built a little bit of business friendship maybe, then yes, you can definitely go back and say, Mark, when we worked together, I know you were very happy. You told me about it. I was remiss. I was remiss in not saying, Mark, can we talk about other people that you know, that you care about, that should be aware of the work I do? I mean, maybe I can help them, maybe not, maybe they need but they should at least know about it. Can we chat about that a little bit? I actually, I know you're a member of your industry association. You used to be on the board of directors. Maybe we can start there. What do you think? So come prepared. It's not high pressure. I'm giving you the permission to say, no, I'm not comfortable, or whatever else you might say. But when I come prepared and create a little curiosity, here's a great way to come back with a list, by the way. Let's say I do that. I come to you and I say, hey, I know you're on the board of directors of your industry association. I made a list of those folks here. I was wondering if I could just give it to you. I want you to tell me, who should I avoid at all costs?
Oh, I like that strategy. I love that one.
If we're in person, you're going to rip that right out of my hand and say, well, I'll tell you who you should avoid, right?
Yes.
Not her. No, she's not him, or hey, but if you want to be introduced to folks, I'd be happy to figure that out with you, right?
See, I that is a great sleight of hand trick. Bill, right there. Hey, if you're listening to this, back the audio up 30 seconds and listen to what Bill said. He just gave you one of the best sleight of hand sales techniques you will ever get.
I've never been particularly good with sleight of hand, but no.
Well, I don't know, whatever you want to call it.
Sleight of words.
Come on, Bill. No, you're a master of that. Hey, time is slipping away here, but I want to ask you something else. So somebody gives you a referral. One of the things that I always say is to stay in touch with the person who gave you the referral. Let them know how it's going.
Oh yeah.
And again, this is something that salespeople don't do. They get this name and then they never bother to let the person know how it's working out or how it's maybe not working out. But what's a good strategy to do that?
Yeah. Well, think of the word trust. I call this referral trust. People need to trust your process so they'll do it again. So the first T is treat the prospect like royalty, white glove royal treatment. That probably goes without saying. R is respond immediately. Don't sit on this stuff. Don't play it coy. We're all in the response business. I mean, maybe you don't jump on it right that second, but don't wait very long, because sometimes you'll lose them and you don't do anything. That's not good. TRU, update, update the referral source, right? Let them know, hey, we scheduled an appointment next week. Thank you. If you're having trouble reaching the new prospect to whom they've introduced you, let them know, hey, I've reached out a couple times, left a couple emails. What do you think we should do next? What do you think we should do next? It's always a collaborative effort. S is say thank you. Handwritten note minimum, little gift card to Starbucks or something is cool. It's not about the money. It's just a gesture. You don't wait for the prospect to become a client or customer. You just say thank you. And then here's the big one. Ready? Get the new client or customer to say thank you to the referral source. So it goes like this, right? Client A refers us to prospect B. We thank client A in some nice way, and that's cool. But now prospect B becomes client B. What happens when they go back to their friend or colleague or family member and say, hey, thank you to that introduction to Bill. He did a great job for us. Now you become super referable when the new thanks the existing. And that's just a magical thing. So let me tell you how to do that. Ready? This is if you're in the same town, not virtually. You can't do this virtually. But Mark, I was thinking about taking Laura to lunch to say thank you for the introduction to you. I got a better idea. Let's both take her to lunch. I mean, I'll pick up the tab, but the thank you needs to come from both of us. She needs to know she did a good thing here. You up for that? Now you got happy new client taking happy old client, probably their friend, out to lunch. You're there. They're talking about you, and they're sometimes talking about other people. So it's a real full circle way to bring this around to say thank you.
Well, that's what's key, because naturally they're going to know they're there because of a referral. So what are they going to do? chances are they're going to give you another referral.
It's in the air. It's all part of it.
It's in the air. Something that I found, I had this happen one time. Somebody gave me a referral and it didn't work out. But I
Mhm.
let them know, it just wasn't the right
Mhm.
match. And the guilt that they felt, they gave me several more referrals.
It can
Um,
happen. Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Sometimes they wanna help their friend or colleague,
yeah,
and sometimes they wanna help us,
yes,
right?
right,
Both of those
right,
energies are there.
right.
And you're right.
Because
Sometimes
yeah,
people feel bad when they turn it down, and then they'll do it later, and they're happy,
yeah,
they're thrilled when they
yeah,
have somebody. Yep.
yeah. Because I have found I've done the same thing. I've referred people and it hasn't worked out. And I go, oh man, I'm sorry that didn't work out. Let me set up some introductions for you to some other
Right.
people.
Sure. Sure.
Again, it's that spirit. Because here's the other thing. I always say, if you want referrals, you got to be given referrals. I mean, how many times have we heard, oh, I don't get any referrals? And I love to ask them, when was the last time you gave a referral? And you get this
Right.
blank stare on their face.
Well,
Like, wow.
it's true, and I mentioned that a little bit again while you were cleaning up that coffee mess. But I'll tell you, let me give you an example of that. I know we're running thin, so I'll make it quick. So I had a colleague of mine, and I asked him for some introductions, and you know the guy, but we'll leave him, unknown for here. And he says, "Well, Bill, you're the referral guy. Don't you think you should be giving me some first?" And I said to the guy, I said, "Well, yeah, I appreciate that. And do you remember that hour and a half I spent with you and your staff last week teaching you about how to sell your online video training?" Oh, yeah. Right. So, yeah, giving referrals is part of the equation, but providing value is even a bigger part of the
Uh,
equation. Right. So
Huge.
he had to be reminded that I did do something very nice for
Huge,
him.
huge. Hey, in just a moment, we got to transition over to the after the show. But Bill, how do people get in touch with you? Now, you're not Bill Gates, you're Bill Cates,
Yeah.
helping
I mean,
people become as wealthy as that other Bill.
yeah, yeah. Thank you. So, referralcoach.com, that's the best way. Referralcoach.com is my website. My email, I don't mind if people email, is bill@referralcoach.com, bill@referralcoach.com. And we have a guide. If people want to get a guide, exponentialgrowthguide.com. My gift to you, it's free, no gimmicks, no salesperson will call. Exponentialgrowthguide.com. So there's a few
That's great.
possibilities.
That's great. Hey, you've been listening to Bill Cates, the referral coach. I'm Mark Hunter, the sales hunter. This is the Sales Hunter podcast. But don't go away because we're going to take a real short break. And we'll be back with you after the show. Bill, don't go away.
I won't.
You've been listening to the Sales Hunter podcast, brought to you by the Sales Hunter University. If you want to get actionable learning you can use right now, go check out thesaleshunter.com and click the Sales Hunter University. Now, back to the after the show. Bill, welcome. Welcome back.
Hey.
Hey, we got just a couple minutes here, but you and I are involved in this little association called the National Speakers Association.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, I have no idea how many years I've known you. I've known you too long. But undoubtedly, it was through the National Speakers Association.
Yeah.
And you and I both rave about it. We got a little conference coming up in July. Huge, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What does National Speakers Association and Influence Conference? What does it mean to you?
Wow, that's a big question. It means everything in terms of.
But you only got 30 seconds.
Oh, we got 30 seconds. Well, what it means to me is that it's a collection of very smart, savvy, sometimes fun individuals who make speaking part of their business model. Sometimes it's full keynoters on the big stage. Sometimes it's folks like you and me where we do podcasts and we do speaking, we do some coaching, and it's a whole mix of people who are subject matter experts and want to bring that value to other people. And I learned long time ago that if there's something you want to do in your business, in your career, in your life, you want to hang around other people who are doing that. Yeah. Maybe they're ahead of you, maybe they're not ahead of you, because I can learn from new people as well as I can learn from people that have been at it longer than me. And there's not a whole lot of people who have been at it longer than me. I've been a member for over 30 years, but nonetheless, just and the neat thing about the National Speakers Association, and I have to add that it's not the National Listeners Association. So there is a lot of energy. But it's a diversity of business models. And so you pick up different things from different people. It's not just one way that one person teaches. And it just, I would not have the business I have today were it not for that, being part of the association and going to the events like Influence.
That's great. Hey, and if people want to learn about that, they should go to nsaspeaker.org. And if you're listening to this before July of 22, you can sign up and register and attend Influence, which is in Nashville at the Gaylord.
If I can add,
Yeah.
if you're not a
Yeah.
member of NSA
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
and you are listening to this before July of 2022, go to nsabundle.com, nsabundle.com, and you get kind of a deal. You'll save a bundle on registration and membership at the same time. So just check that out as well.
Yeah.
And let me know, let Mark know if you're coming. We'd
Yeah.
love to meet
Yeah.
up with you and say hi and greet you.
Yeah. Because it's an absolutely outstanding organization. Hey, Bill, we've gone over our allotted time. That means there'll be another cup of coffee spilled here. So it's not going to be pretty. So anyway, hey, I want to thank you, Bill, for being on the show. Sticking around for the After the Show. Referral Coach, referralcoach.com. And hey, tremendous amount of conversation in the chat. Unfortunately, because of the spilled coffee, I couldn't get it up on the screen, but it's all out there. So thank you so much, Bill. Thank you so much, audience. We'll see you next week with a new episode. I'm Mark Hunter.